Hello friends, bienvenidos. My name is Jen, aka Jen Kahlo on social media, your local witchy friend and intuitive guide through the occult. As always, my lovely husband and co-host is David, aka Premier Pulls on social media.
Hi everyone, on today's episode, Jen explains cleanses.
Welcome to the show, grab a chair, make yourself at home. Jen's got stories to share, you'll never feel alone.
Thank you so much, everyone, for your patience. This is the first day in 3 weeks that I have not been coughing.
Yeah.
I'm excited to get back into yapping.
It seems like a long time because we haven't recorded an episode in a while, but we only missed one. The last one that was released was Taurus. So as far as our schedule, we're only one behind, but you are so sick. New York really took it out of us.
Yes, but you know what? It was worth it. It was magical. If you haven't seen, we posted a 2-part vlog series on Patreon, so feel free to join. And then speaking of Patreon, I've also gotten into writing weekly horoscopes. It's something I've been wanting to do for a minute.
Super excited, yeah. You're our own, Walter Mercado, basically.
I'm trying.
And speaking of, kind of sneak peek, we're working on a project now that the zodiac signs are done. We've done all 12. We kind of like the idea of keeping a certain type of just momentum going as far as specialty episodes. So we'll still have our regular episodes like this, like the cleanses and our mystic maintenance, as well as our experience exchange, which we've gotten a lot of good feedback from. The Sarah episode really blew up. I've gotten so much good feedback and a lot of love for the community for Sarah. It was a wonderful episode. So if you haven't seen that one, I actually really highly recommend it.
You hear that, Sarah? You're popular.
But one of the things we're going to do is something called the Spotlight episode. We might change the name, but essentially what it is we're going to take famous, not even astrological, but just like you like to say, the woohoo type people. So for example, Edgar Allan Poe, and we're going to do a spotlight episode on them and really delve into their life. And then Jen is going to explain an astrological just understanding of who they were, and so they'll be fun. I'm really excited because I've been wanting to get into more of those nuances. We cover the broad topics and sometimes we run out of time with aliens and cryptids. So this will give us opportunity to slow down a little bit and really dive into one particular person.
Yeah, so I'm excited for those future episodes. But in previous episodes, we have gotten one comment from Mel. I think it was funny enough commenting on the episode with Sarah. So let's take a listen.
Hi, Jen. This is just so much easier. I just wanted to let you know I'm loving your podcast. And I think I just really appreciate how you always say things that are just really relevant to our line of work. I think the first thing I really wanted to point out in Sarah's podcast, I forget what the name of the segment was called, but you interviewed her. It was so cool to learn about her and everything. But I like that you mentioned in the podcast regarding the unhoused community in Merced and how you kind of mentioned it's I don't remember your exact words, but you had mentioned it's layered, and that of course there is an unhoused issue in all major cities. It's not just in Merced. So really appreciated that you added that to those comments. And then in this most recent podcast, you mentioned about borders being social constructs. So I really appreciate you're always adding in your 2 cents with topics that can go in different directions. So just wanted to say that. I hope you're having a wonderful day.
Yeah, so thank you so much, Mel. She's shouting out sort of my social services background, and I just try to take a non-judgmental, humanistic approach to things and realize whether it's a political issue, a logical issue, a spiritual issue, there are so many layers and things just aren't black and white.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, not to harp on this, but Sarah's episode, a lot of the feedback that I got was that just your interview style is really good. And I think naturally you do have a really good style, but obviously anything else, the more you practice and the more we do this, the better your skills shine through. So awesome. Yeah. All right, we're going to talk about cleanses today. Is it just like cleaning your house because it's spring and it's time to get that the attic cleaned out, the garage cleaned out?
I think that's where my mind was when we scheduled this, but it's so much more than that. So what do I mean by cleanses? So by cleanses, I mean more spiritual cleanses, which can have a physical component, but cleanses are like the act of like cleansing your soul, feeling better, basically what to do to reset to a healthy state. So sometimes cleanses for some people is literally like taking something bad out, and for other people it just means returning to baseline.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's almost like a catharsis, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I was just going to say, so what is the reason somebody might need a cleanse? Because I feel like that can be such a trendy topic, right? Mm-hmm. We hear like detoxes, cleanses, rejuvenation, almost allegorically that like battle against time that nobody's going to ever win. But that's kind of the sense that I get. So what are like the correlations of that, or like why would somebody want to cleanse themselves?
Yeah. So this is different than like, coconut water cleanse.
I know,
like
I understand,
cleanse.
but I think it's the same concept, right? It's like that spiritual, like, let me have new beginnings, or let me get rid of something that's I've been holding on to, right?
Yeah, so people may feel overwhelmed, like they're just surrounded with like bad luck and back-to-back unfortunate events. They just feel out of it. They don't feel like themselves. They may feel tired, and they just want to get to a better state. So reflecting like, have I done any spiritual self-care? If like your spiritual practice is starting to accumulate cobwebs, then it's like, oh, I need to completely like do an energy spiritual cleanse. This is not a new concept. I know it's trendy, but cleanses have been part of so many different societies like for such a long time, since the beginning of civilization and like organized society. My first introduction to cleanses is through Catholicism. Mm-hmm. So growing up Catholic, our ways to like cleanse our spirit was through confessional. So with the priest, like you tell him what is on your mind, what you've been doing wrong, your sins, and then through that, like he, for those that believe in Catholicism, like he has the power to absolve you. Also holy water and incense. So yeah, so many different like dynamics, and a lot of cleanses are rooted in different elements. So like air, fire, earth, or water. And so I was trying to think of like an earthly one for Catholicism, but it's escaping me right now. But the confessional's air, like speaking person to person, holy water, and then incense, because you have to light incense on fire. That's like the fire, the smoke.
And what was the one you couldn't think of?
Earth? I can't think of like an earthly. I'm sure there is one in Catholicism, but it's just escaping me right now.
Yeah.
But
we have that. We throwback to our Manda episode. This is more Catholicism within like the Latino community.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Just the ritualistic parts. A lot of the time it is, more grounded, I guess. I mean, literally in this case, we had when was the Manda? Over a year ago? That we talked about it?
One of our early episodes. Yeah. I guess within Latino Catholicism, there is that where you should listen to it. It's an interesting episode, but basically people like crawl for miles. And I guess some like more extreme parts of Catholicism, there was like the flogging, self-mutilation.
Yeah.
I guess that is like an earthly component.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a question for you, and I guess this could be in a sociological sense or a spiritual sense. I think it does apply. But do you think the reason why like it is so trendy, it is so hot, like to talk about cleansing, talk about kind of that rebirth, detoxing, is just because where we are like societally? Do you think that maybe nations or peoples or societies are not as like plugged in as maybe we are, like westernized with like just bombardment of information, that colloquial rat race, and then just like that go do you think that has anything to do why at this point in time, like 2025 in America, we seem to be seeking that type of like reprise?
Yeah, because woo-woo stuff aside, like cleansing, if you take away the spirituality component, is really just grounding.
Yeah.
And I think that, you know, in this like hyper aware nervous system shot 24/7
information highway.
Yeah, blue light all the time. We just need some sort of grounding, and this is one way to ground. So this is why, like, I really advocate for skeptics when they're like, you know, all this bullshit. It's like, who cares? Ultimately, it is a grounding tool, and if it makes someone more productive, feel better, like less sick, physically or emotionally, like, who cares how they achieve it? So ultimately, cleansing, you know, spiritual powers aside, is a grounding tool.
And kind of building on that, I don't believe in the spiritual aspect, but I do believe in the psychological and the physical.
Yeah.
But that physical world that we just talked about, the just go, 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 what type of spiritual noise does that create?
Yeah, I would say with the go, 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 spiritually, it dampens your intuition, your psychic abilities, your ability to really like check in and build like the best life for you, because when you're always surrounded by like all of these influences, you know, maybe some with good intentions, maybe some less so, you're not able to live your most authentic life because you have all of these external influences, and everyone has intuition. And like we talked about, shout out to the Claire's episode, or like psychic abilities episode, like everyone has at least one psychic ability. It's like a muscle, you have to work it. So grounding is a great way to like get back to baseline and then build like your best life, your most authentic life.
Absolutely. And it is such in the zeitgeist right now. No spoilers, but the latest season of White Lotus, right? It was all about religion, and you know, one of the main characters was really adamant about like, this is a very privileged person who has the ability to rid themselves of like worldly possessions, but as a choice, not as forced upon them. And then like ultimately just that internal fight of like, we are trying to find that purpose. I think we are trying to like reduce the noise, and I think it was a great season because it shows like the extremes people will go to try to find that escapism, that cleansing that you're talking about. This particular person was like super interested in Buddhism, and it like the way they portrayed it is like a very humble like living. And it's interesting, and I think it's all cyclical, right? I'm sure even from like Roman times and the Greeks, just eventually I think humans want to find it. To me, it's like understanding the homeostasis. If we're super, super high, sometimes we'll go to the extremes of trying to find the super, super low, right? Of like, let me get rid of all my worldly possessions. Let me live with the basics. And really we should be in that middle, but it's just interesting. You're bringing up cleansing, and I think that's why it can be so appealing, right? I'm going to interject a little bit here because you mentioned something regarding grounding. And for this episode, you know, my understanding of cleanses, I know there's a spiritual component, but there's this very interesting therapy practice called Gestalt therapy that I remember when I was doing my undergrad. I was always like really interested in that one specifically because there's different ones. There's like CBT, there's, you know, just like talk therapy, which is basically CBT. But with Gestalt therapy, it's like a two-part aspect. One is understanding like the presence and understanding like your moment in the present, right? So not necessarily like forgetting about the past, but really like, where do you take up space in this world, right? Understand, like really grounding yourself and saying, who am I as a person in this day and age, living the life that I'm living? So that's like the first part of it. And then the second part of it is like confronting it, right? So one of the bigger exercises is called the empty chair technique, where you like imagine you're speaking to like yourself in an empty chair and how you would confront that person, like in like today, in like the today. So I always thought that was really interesting because it kind of like puts it all in front of you and you have to acknowledge it and work through it. So I thought this was kind of very similar, and leading kind of a little bit back to you. When we talk about cleansing, you know, there's always supposed to be a good starting point, right? Because even when you clean your house, if you start like, I'm going to clean the kitchen, I'm going to clean the bathroom, I'm going to clean the bedroom, it can get really, really overwhelming. So like, how does that work spiritually? Like, where do you start with all this?
Well, first you have to find like what method calls to you or speaks to you. There's no right or wrong way to cleanse. And then speaking of privilege, there's no right or wrong tool either. It's more like what you believe in, because if you don't believe in it, then it's not going to work. Or maybe even not believe, but if you just want to use it as a grounding technique, like if it doesn't call to you, if it doesn't interest you, then it's not really worth it. So you don't need like a specific tool. You don't need like a specific quality tool. Honestly, you don't need any tools to cleanse yourself. For example, like with cleanses and privilege, I think of like people that maybe live in like shared spaces, like shelters, apartment complexes, etc. Like there are all these cool aesthetic looking like cleansing candles or palo santo or sage or things like that, but fire can be such a hazard or a liability that it's like you don't have to light things on fire if you don't want to. I like to light things on fire.
You do like to like. I'm also smiling, and I'm not gonna put this person's business out there, but we recently talked to someone who wanted to do some sort of fire spill, but you were like, listen, I support it. I think it's super effective, but let's find another way to do it, just because where you're at might not be the most conducive place to like light a candle for 24 hours.
Yeah, exactly. Also, if you have cats, because cats like to knock stuff over, like, yeah. I just don't recommend fire and cats. But anyway, yeah, I think that whatever calls to you, do it. There are so many different ways, like I said. So I'm sorry, I forgot what your original question was.
Well, it kind of started talking about like the spiritual noise, and then obviously when you do a cleanse, you need a starting point. So like what would that be spiritually?
Yeah, that's for you to identify, like, do you want to purge like any attachments or expectations? Do you just want to start feeling better?
I guess what I mean though, like I would say you wouldn't have to approach it like, I just want to completely radically change my life and I'm fixing everything starting today, right?
Oh yeah, no, baby steps. But you still have to identify a goal in mind. Like, why am I doing this? Am I doing this to remove a jinx? Am I doing this to feel better? Am I doing this to get over somebody? Like, what are you trying to cleanse? Am I cleansing a money block? Like, what is the reason? And if everything's just going to hell, just like, I'm just trying to be in a better place, period. Like, you just have to state some sort of goal when you start. And I've definitely been there where it's like, everything is going to hell. I just need like some sort of relief anywhere.
Can you go into details on some of those? They sounded just really interesting. That I have no idea what that is, but you mentioned jinx, money block, and like two others.
Yeah, so for the jinxes, I have a coworker who has just been going through it. Just like everything is overwhelming, like work is overwhelming, personal is overwhelming, money's overwhelming. So they're just like, I genuinely feel like there is an attachment or like a jinx on me. And, you know, I wasn't going to diagnose that on them. I could. Like, there are ways to like read tarot and see if there's something on you, but
quick recap: a jinx isn't the same as a curse, right? A curse is like somebody intentionally did something to you.
Well, there's like a curse and jinx are the same thing, but then there's like possessions or attachments, which is like picked up like energy, or if you believe in like bad spirits and things like that.
Oh, okay,
yeah,
got it.
So she's like, and she's saying jinx, not like somebody cursed her, but maybe she has some sort of like negative attachment, like. Specifically, I genuinely believe, as someone that works in social services and with trauma victims, like when you help other people, you get a lot of like their residual energy because you're lifting it off of them, and you need to find a way to get it off of you. And she just carries so much on her shoulders that I think she's really absorbed a lot of like clients' stuff. Yeah. And maybe that's why this is happening to her. And again, like,
well, secondary trauma is really real in like mental health.
That's what I was about to say. Woo aside, if you don't want to call it an attachment, it's secondary trauma.
Yeah. No, when I was working in mental health, like when you're onboarding, that's one of the. They should spend more time on it. It's like 3 sentences, like make sure you don't pick up secondary trauma, but it's like, we're gonna work you for fucking 12 hours a day,
Yeah.
but don't pick up the trauma. So
Yes, exactly. So she likes fire. She likes lighting things on fire.
Oh, okay.
So it was like, okay, if you go to the Botanica, they have jinx removal candles, and it literally says like jinx removal, and it has like a black cat on it. It's like kind of cute, kind of kitschy. But she lit it, and she felt like like she resonated with it, and like this thing is working. So yeah, she burned that one. I gave her like a 2-part homework. For people that are like, I just need some relief, period, I would do some sort of like blockbuster or like jinx removal, and then after that a road opener. So it's like, okay, now that like that barrier is gone, whatever it is, secondary trauma, possession, whatever, now that we have a blank slate, how do we capitalize on it? And then that's like the road opener, or like the good luck candle or whatever.
And you've talked about this before, but I think it's always a good opportunity to remind people. We touched upon it on our spiritual scammers episode. If you are seeking like a spiritual guide or someone who maybe can walk you through this journey of like cleansing, just remember, if they're telling you you're like jinxed or have a curse or need this cleanse, and then they turn around and right away to have the like cure for you, but you have to pay for it, like always be wary of that, right?
Yeah, I would say it's, so here's the caveat. Sometimes I'll have like specific candles, and I'm like, listen, if you're called to burning stuff and you like how this candle looks, you could buy it off of me, but you don't have to.
Yeah, I guess it's more like if the person's like, I'm the only one who could remove it for you, right? That's where it's like, be careful.
Yeah. And then they're like, oh, this is a lot harder than I thought. I need more money. And they just keep milking you to like remove this curse. Yeah, definitely.
How would you tell like somebody is jinxed? Would you do like a tarot spread or something?
Yeah, I have specific like tarot spreads that I like to do to see if like somebody is cursed. If you get like the 7 of Swords, that is more like evil eye, like someone is like sending you negative energy and hoping you fail. If you get like the Tower, it's more like you kind of did this to yourself.
I see.
And you're dealing with the consequences. The Devil could be more possessions and attachments, or like secondary trauma as well, or like first-hand trauma, honestly. Yeah, the Moon could just, and the Wheel of Fortune reverse could just be like bad luck and bad timing that's like dampening your strength. There are like so many different ways to see, but like I personally like doing tarot to sort of see like what is the root of like this jinx, or like why you're feeling this way, because sometimes we do it to ourselves and sometimes it's outside of ourselves.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, so what else spiritually as far as like cleansing?
Yeah. So I wanted to say this in the beginning, but we got deep into this topic. But cleansing is one of the reasons why I was called to spiritual work as a little kid.
Okay.
So I'm sure I've mentioned this in past episodes, but growing up in the Catholic Church, I thought it was so cool. Well, manifesting and cleansing. I thought it was so cool that priests could turn like the body and blood of Jesus like before your eyes, like just bread and wine, into like this amazing.
What is it called? Trans?
Yeah, I forget what it's called, but trans something. But yeah, the fact that like they can manifest and make this thing happen, so cool. And then also that they could like absolve sin from people in confession, because I was a very like empathetic little girl, always wanted to make people feel better, and it's like, oh my god, I could save people's souls. That's awesome. Unfortunately, I was born with the curse of being a woman. I no longer think it's a curse, but I was just like, I guess the second best thing I could do is like be a nun. But anyway, didn't really like that because I wanted to be the star of the show.
Wanted your Leo to shine.
I want, my little kid Leo heart to shine. But now I found that through this, which is like super amazing. I feel like I do the same thing, or honestly even better, because it's not as repressive.
You're better than a priest?
Yes, I am.
It's transubstantiation.
Transubstantiation. Yes, that makes sense. Yeah.
Just a little magic.
Trans and substance. Yes.
Okay. And have you? We can talk like more details, but have you done cleanses for like people?
It's so funny you ask. I did my first one today. So before we recorded this episode, I had walk-ins, and I really been feeling called to like do, if you want to dive into the woo-woo cleanses, if you want to dive into the more logical, like a fancier, spicier affirmation session to make people feel like validated. So
okay, wait, hold on. We've talked about affirmations before, so I don't know if I understand the bridge from cleansing to affirmation.
So to cleanse, the way that I want to do cleanses, me as a person,
As a practitioner,
is for people to step into their power, and sometimes they need a reminder. So having like a removal technique, like absorbing negative energy and then reminding people of their power. So let me get through like what I'm trying to say, and then I think you'll get it. So I'm Latina, and a common way for us to cleanse is with the eggs, which is super valid. I love it. I've had it done to me. I believe in it.
It's expensive now, though.
It's expensive, first of all. Fucking what the hell happened to the price of eggs? Second of all, it's kind of messy, and where we are, like the bathroom, we have a bathroom, but it's like difficult to access, and I'm also a little bit of a germaphobe. As soon as I crack it, I'm gonna like want to wash my hands, but I like it, and I wanted to maybe do like crystals, but there was only one specific crystal that called out to me, which is tangerine selenite, and it's super hard to find. So, and I wanted like not just like a tiny little wand, I wanted like a big wand.
You wanted a lightsaber.
I wanted a fucking lightsaber. Today is actually May 4th, so yes, this is perfect. I wanted like a lightsaber tangerine selenite to just go wah wah wah.
Instead of the egg.
Instead of like a physical egg. So shout out to Crystal Land in Merced, California. We went.
Oh yeah, and shout out to me.
And shout out to David because he spotted this. He's like, babe, it's perfect. This is a tangerine selenite egg. I'm like, this merges both of my worlds. This makes my heart happy. So I'm gonna practice doing cleanses on people if they book a session in person, and as soon as I feel comfortable, then I'll offer it as a service. But yeah, I had someone come in. I was like, hey, do you want to be my guinea pig, see how you feel? And so we did it, and she was like, that felt powerful. Like, I got chills. So what I'm doing, like my intention when I use this, is to remove any like self-doubt, jinxes, blockages. Like, this is gonna absorb it, and then under full moon it'll cleanse it, recharge it, but as I'm removing it, right, the blank slate, she's ready, she's good to go. But then I'm also reminding her of her power. So as I'm doing this, I'm reading an affirmation, and then I'm also adding in my own affirmations, because I have an affirmation deck that I always like to use at the end of sessions, and she really enjoyed it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
You touched on it a little bit, but I was kind of curious, how do you protect yourself? Because like, it's great that, I mean, if I'm going to follow that, it's holding the negative energy. How do you protect it from like your getting to you or getting to like other clients?
Yeah, so when I start my day at the office, like if I'm going to do walk-ins, I have some like blocking oils that I...
Is that like a cleansing? Or that's more protection?
Protection.
Okay, got it.
I'm also wearing like my evil eye earrings. So yeah, I just do little things to protect myself, and then at night I'm gonna shower, and then so we're gonna dive into different ways to cleanse. One of my favorite like free ways where you don't need to buy anything else other than what you already have is a cleansing shower. And this is always what I tell people. I'm like, you don't have to spend money. You don't have to go broke for spirituality. But when I shower, and if I'm doing like a cleansing shower, I will be very intentional with each part. So like if I'm shampooing my head, I'm like, nobody's allowed to overtake my thoughts, plant bad seeds, or like live in my head rent free. And then when I go into my arms, I'm like, no one can hold me back, not even myself, etc., like washing my feet. Like, you know, I will trust the path that I'm on, and that every step I take is leading to abundance. Whatever.
So that's why the water bill is so high.
Just ritualizing that every day, but it's so powerful. So yeah, that is one free way to cleanse that I recommend to everybody.
There's a lot of crossover. It sounds like to me, correct me if I'm wrong, but there's a lot of crossover between like affirmation and cleansing, right?
Yeah.
Because I think, well, the way I see it is, let's say you want to start a routine of waking up every morning and like just giving yourself that daily affirmation of like, today's going to be a good day, right? To me, it almost seems like, this is a weird through line, but like it is like a cleanse, right? It is like a starting anew, giving yourself that pep talk, giving yourself that you might call it energy. I call it like self-reflection, but it just seems to be a lot of crossover.
But I'm also just like a vocal person, I guess, because my Mercury is in Leo.
Yeah.
So I just like to yap, and I think affirmations are great. But you have to believe in yourself and like that there is a goal and like a purpose with your cleansing. So even if you don't say it like out loud, at least like believing like this is going to get me to a better place is crucial.
Okay. And then I think we did kind of touch on it, but like how to stay organized with like, your spiritual self when you are cleansing, right? Like how would you do that? Like making sure that, like we talked about earlier, like making sure you're not attacking everything at once. Do you make like a game plan? Do you focus on like what your really needs are at this time? Is it more like a maintenance? Because there's different types of cleansing. Like if we talk about just the cleansing that I think of as like cleaning the house, right? If you don't clean for a long time, it piles up. The dishes pile up, the bedroom, the sheets. But a lot of people who do professional like house cleaning, they say the best way to tackle it is like do the maintenance, right? So make sure you put the dishes away. Maybe you don't have to run the dishwasher, but when you're done with your food, put the dishes away. So how do you like stay organized within your cleansing so it doesn't pile up on you spiritually? Does that make sense?
Are you asking like how to keep a routine so you don't have to do one big cleanse?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Like I said, a good time to do it is like every time you shower or every full moon. That'll come once a month. Just setting like whatever milestones you want for yourself. I think regular cleanses are good instead of having to do just like one big cleanse. Yeah.
Well, let me just ask you, you mentioned the shower, but like what do you as Genesis specifically cleanse for, and then how do you do it?
So for me, it's the energy of the day, because I feel like if I don't intentionally do a cleansing, I mean, like I shower every day, but if I don't do like an intentional, like grounding, meditative, purposeful shower, like sometimes my bad energy can carry for days. Like sometimes I'm like crashing out.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Sometimes I'm like crashing out for 3 days at a time. Like we had a conversation, and it's one of like my latest reels where I was putting on like this orange lipstick. But anyway, like that day, I don't think I did. And I was like spiraling for like 2 days over like a debit card that I have yet to find.
I remember.
But yeah, that's just something that like I know I have to do for like my own sanity, where it's like I already know that today was a wash and tomorrow is a new day, but for me to truly believe it, like I have to do this.
And when let's take that example where you crashed out essentially. I'm not laughing at you, just like the way you said it was kind of funny.
It is though, that's what it was.
But let's take that example. So you have that episode, you have that situation, you get the overwhelm. So when you go to cleanse, are you cleansing so that doesn't happen to you the next day?
Yes.
Or then it doesn't keep perpetuating, basically?
Yes.
Got it. Okay, so it's like cleaning the floor when there's mud, so you're not dragging the mud around the house.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like there's 2 ways to cleanse, right? Like there's the cleansing because there's a big ass spill, and then there's a cleansing just
I think
for,
that's
like,
what I was like talking more about,
yeah.
like maintenance. Yeah.
Again, that's your goal to identify, right? Like how dirty are your floors?
Yeah.
How much cleansing do you need? Like that's only something that you can answer for yourself.
Yeah.
And I think that will also inform what type of cleanses you want to do. So I'm going to break it down by elements, because there are just so many ways to cleanse. And this is not a comprehensive list, but like these are some of the more common ones. So we'll start with air. So sound healing, like the sound bowls, that's one way to cleanse. Yeah, which you did. It was a very interesting grounding experience, if you don't believe in like cleanses, but like the grounding.
The physiological part of it was really interesting, right? Because believing in spirits, not spirits, metaphysical, like the sound waves are sound waves, right? Those are a physical experience.
Yes. And then prayers, chants, affirmations, because you're speaking.
As someone who does meditation and like does the chants are really good for grounding, because when you're meditating, the purpose is to remove all the noise. And I mean, I'm talking about all the noise. Like, meditation is being in complete silence with yourself, even when there's noise around you. And what the chants do is it lets you focus on one singularity and lets you drown out all the noise.
And then for fire, like we talked about, smoke cleanses, like cleansing candles, or using some sort of like herbs like sage, palo santo, incense. With fire is where we can step into some cultural appropriation, and this is kind of like a heated topic and debate, how like there are certain things that are closed practices, open practices. I would just say, like, be mindful and know your intention. Like, did you grow up with it and you know, like, it's a part of you and you're gonna do it, or are you doing it because it's trendy? If the answer is because it's trendy, then yeah, just consider your intention and maybe find other ways. Or if you really want to burn, the most like controversial one is sage. Like, I would say consider your source and like buy ethically sourced sage from like native people or from people that like are harvesting it responsibly. I'm not here to judge, but I just know that like with cleanses, there is that component of like cultural appropriation.
Yeah. And this topic is so contentious. I mean, even like between us, right? I don't know if I would like 100% agree with you, maybe like 95%, because I think, and this, at this point, like, this is my opinion, right? And this is the essence of the podcast of, like, we do agree on most things, but then there's a couple nuances. And with me, like I said, I agree with most of it, but to me, it's always, like, almost like an exploration. And, again, same result, right? As long as you're doing it respectfully. And there are times we do things out of ignorance, and we just don't know. It's not always the best excuse, but it is a reason, right? Sometimes we just may not know. And I don't think that's a reason to, like, you know, cancel somebody or like destroy somebody if it's like on pure ignorance with like but good intention. So again, mostly agree, but I think there are some nuances that I think we would debate for sure. But one thing with the fire, you can also put like intentionality into matches, right? And then when you use them, I thought that because we know people who
you could put intention into anything and everything.
So when you light a match, or even to like, you talk about, you don't need to be rich or have all these resources, but even lighting like a room candle, right? But if you put the intentions into the matches every time you use those matches, you could essentially be cleansing a space every time you or have the matches in the bathroom.
Water, of course, like baptisms.
My favorite element.
Baptisms, dunking people, cleansing showers, cleansing baths, Florida water, which I know you don't like the smell of. I like it.
And holy water you talked about, right?
And holy water, yep. For earth, crystals, like we mentioned, eggs, the egg cleanses. In the Latino culture, there are like herbal, what they call like barridas or sweeping, when you get like a bundle of these aromatic herbs and like sweep people. Some people will beat the shit out of people with them. So it just depends on your practitioner, like how hard they're gonna go. Common aromatics are rosemary, basil, and rue in that blend. But aromatic so that like it's a sensory experience and helps you be more present. Like they're usually herbs that have like a smell. Grounding and meditation, touching grass. So there's these things, I don't exactly know what they are, but there are like grounding mats or grounding plates that have like different like points, and there's like an electric current. I don't know. It's not necessarily woo woo, but it's more like new age, holistic sort of like healing. I haven't looked too much into it, but some people I know swear by them. And then some people, this is more like a jinx remover, but like throwing salt over their shoulder. Could be earthly. One cleanse that I am skeptical of, which I guess is a combination of like air and water and earth, is like the spitting cleanses.
I've never heard of that.
which is part of you've never, even with the barridas, like where your shaman or the person like helping you out will like drink some water and then like spit it on you. You've never seen it?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean, if that's your thing, go ahead.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I would do it. But yeah, that's one cleanse. I don't know about that.
Yeah.
But my ultimate favorite, like most motivational way to cleanse is to clean and put intention behind that. Like,
That's the other thing, right? Like, if you're doing all these cleanses and all this work and you're in a dirty space physically,
not as optimal.
well, even psychologically, right? A good way to get yourself out of like a funk or like a depression, and this isn't like how you cure depression, I'm not saying that by any means, but to get yourself into like a better mind state, it is important to have like a clean space. For you and I, it's especially important because we do work from home. So where we work from is also our living space. So we have to be very intentional with our spaces, like literally like our office. You know, I really try not to go in there if it's not like work or professional related. And then like our home, right? So since we don't leave that area, we want to make sure that it's like clean and free of clutter, because it adds a lot of like, I don't want like unneeded stress essentially.
And that's like the whole basis of feng shui. Yeah, is like cleansing with like positioning things and like, you know, minimalism and things like that. So very interesting.
What about, is there any, it's kind of, this is definitely like a water element, and I know you talk about it briefly with like putting cinnamon at the first of the month, but is like drinking like water with intentionality or any certain tea good for cleansing? Or herbs?
I was gonna say, I don't feel. Go
like
ahead.
mint, maybe like a mint tea.
I can't think of it off the top of my head because apothecary or like kitchen witchery is not like necessarily one of my fortes, so I can't think of it right now. But I think if you go in with that intention of like, even like eating healthy, you know, like I'm gonna eat this vegetable and it's gonna clean me physically and spiritually, like you can ritualize the mundane, and as long as you believe in it and you buy into it, like I think it can get the job done. Okay. So we have a listener question from somebody that wanted to stay anonymous. Which, going back to Mel's comment where she's like, this is so much easier. Yeah, send a voice note. It's so much easier that way. Or if you want to remain anonymous, you can DM us. But if you want to send a voice note for a question or comment, the link is in my link tree through SpeakPipe. But anyway, from this anonymous person, how do you know when you've cleansed enough? Like, do you need to do like a second cleanse, a third cleanse, etc.? Only you can answer that question.
Hold on. I agree, but what if people suffer from like OCD tendencies? Like that could spill into the spiritual and then create like a hyperloop of anxiety, right?
Yes, which is why it's for you to know. Like if you know you have health anxiety or any sort of anxiety or OCD, then you know like it's never going to be enough for me. But even like that dramatic example aside, how do you know when you've cleansed enough? It's up to you. So for example, I was giving someone advice who asked me this question, and I was letting them know, like, what are your goals? Like, ultimately, why are you cleansing? And did you feel relief from it? Even if you feel a little bit of a relief from it, and you're like, you know what, I'm gonna do what I can with the energy that I've got, and I'm gonna, you know, make lemonade out of the lemons that I have. Or do you think that you need to lay a little bit more of a foundation, you have more work to do, and then you can successfully achieve your goals? Like, it's really up to you. There are some times where I'm like, I'm not ready. Like, I do feel better, but if I try to start, I'm not feeling good enough to achieve my goals. Or sometimes I'm like, you know what, this is good enough. Like, at least I'm doing better than I was when I started this process. So I'm just going to chip at it and move forward with the little relief that I have.
I see. Awesome. Well, what if somebody wants to get a cleanse from you? How can they do it?
Well, right now I'm not offering it as a standalone service because I'm still practicing. But if you want to get a reading, and then we'll just add it on at the end for free for now until I make it an official service, then definitely hit me up. Check out my link in the show notes, or check me out, message me on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Blue Sky, at Jen Kahlo and jencahlo.com.
Awesome. Well, it's good to be back, and sorry we weren't here last week, but we will continue to put out weekly episodes. Thank you so much for engaging with us this week.
Yes, remember, the magic within you makes the world a more beautiful place. Blessed be, and signing off. Bye.